All right, welcome to the Wartime MMA podcast. Today is UFC motherfucking 320. Ankalaev versus Pereira. I thought this card was going to be in Salt Lake City. It's in Las Vegas. But one of the better cards of the year. I'm pretty excited for it. I know probably a lot of y'all are also excited for it. So let's just get right into it. We're using Tapology bout order, and they don't have this fight on yet. But it just got announced, so we'll just do it first. Teba Gautier got a replacement for Ozzy Diaz named Tristan Vines. Not a lot of people know who that is. I looked him up. He had a fight coming up in LFA. He has 3 losses, 10-3. All 3 of his losses are first-round KOs against guys with honestly not that great a record. So I know Raheem Forrest. He lost to Danny Barlow on the Contender Series. He's one of the guys that knocked out Tristan Vines. I just think Teba Gautier will knock him out in the first round. That's what his record is telling me right now. So if these guys can do it in the first round, like 7-4 guys, 8-3 guys, I think Teba does it easy. So I won't waste your time. Teba first round KO, murder.
Yeah, I got Teba as well. Not really else to say. Don't really know too much about the other dude. Yeah, just beating the only Cameroonian guy, and we're racing Francis Ngannou over here. So might as well just make him look good. I feel like that's the whole point either way. Yeah, I got Teba by first round. Not really else to say.
Yeah, I think we're going to make it a clean sweep. This fight is more prolonged in the bout order, but we wanted to get this one over with first because originally it was going to be a Teba Gautier and Ozzy Diaz. Ozzy Diaz had to pull out, and Tapology, as Alex alluded to, doesn't even have the bout order scheduled into the pay-per-view, so we just wanted to cover this one first. Clean sweep. I'm going to make it a Teba Gautier first-round knockout as well. Different opponent, same result, kind of similar situation. I just think there's an athleticism, speed, power advantage in favor of Teba. And Tristan Vines, we looked on his Tapology, and a large percentage of his losses are first-round knockouts, and I just happen to feel that Teba is the better athlete, faster, stronger, more technical boxer. He touches him, he kills him, first-round TKO. Yeah, clean sweep.
Yeah, I think at least we would have had more to talk about with Ozzy Diaz because we know who he is. But with Tristan Vines, there's not a lot to say outside of just what we see on his record. Right. But moving on to the official early prelim of the card, Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. Also a one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. Brogan Walker's losing to women that Veronica Hardy's beating. I don't think MMA math always works. Sometimes it does, and I think when it comes to like something like this, like Brogan Walker lost to Juliana Miller. Like that's pretty bad as far as women's go. I think if you're doing that, Veronica Hardy eats you alive. Probably not a finish. Let's just be real. But she's got Dan Hardy in her corner, and that's a lot, can be said for women's MMA. But I know Brogan Walker doesn't have that, and she's just not good. Veronica Hardy is like tactically sound, well coached. That honestly goes a far distance in women's MMA. So I'm going to go Veronica Hardy, clear, unanimous decision, 30-27.
Yeah, I got Veronica as well. There's not really... I ain't got nothing to say. I got Veronica. Decision, 30-27. 29-28. One of the two.
Yeah, we're going to make it a clean sweep again. Veronica Hardy, I think Alex said it best. She just loses to a certain caliber of opponent, and I feel that Brogan Walker is not cut from that cloth. I will say, Veronica Hardy, I do think she wins, but a little, minus 400 is a lot in women's MMA. But nonetheless, I think IQ, skills, pay the bills. I just think she's a more well-rounded fighter in this one, and I expect her to get a decision win where she wins at least 2 of the 3 rounds. I'm going to go with a Veronica Hardy or Macedo, whatever her last name is, decision win.
Yeah, hold on. Give me a minute. I gotta switch positions so I can charge.
You go.
Next fight, Ramis Brahima versus Austin Vanderford. This is a pretty good fight for it being so early on the prelims. Ramis Brahim, I'm having a stroke saying his name. Brahimash has had some good finishes lately. I think 2 first-round finishes, 1 KO and 1 submission. But he's not doing it against very good people. Billy Goff and Mickey Gall aren't super impressive destructions. It wasn't that long ago he was getting mauled by Themba Garimbo. And I'm going to be honest, I think Austin Vanderford's a lot better than Themba Garimbo. I think he's a lot better grappler. I think he's more physical. He's a bigger guy overall. He's a former middleweight. I think he's got more experience. He actually has like a background in wrestling. He's not really just like an African guy that took it up once he got to the UFC. Like, he's a lifelong grappler. Obviously, when you look at him, obviously he's like doing a bunch of gimmicky antic shit with his wife, Paige Van Zant. People call him Mr. or Mr. Van Zant because of it. Like, he took her last name because like she's like, people know who Van Zant is, whereas people don't really know Vanderford. And I can see people like picking Brahimaj, being like, oh, Vanderford's all like caught in like all this fucking gimmicky shit with Paige Van Zant and her OnlyFans, and like he's probably just like doing this shit nonstop and like has no attention to UFC. But until he proves me that that is the case, I'm gonna pick him to win, because that was the case in his first UFC fight as well, and he looked good. So I'm going to pick from what I've seen of him in the cage. I think he's going to be able to out-grapple Brahimaj. I think it'll probably be a unanimous decision. Maybe it'll be a TKO or a submission, but I think it'll be mostly just like a out-grappling mauling from Vanderford. So I'm going to go for him. I'll say 29-28. Maybe Brahimaj like gets around in on the feet, like on the third, and wins the third round. But yeah, I'm going to go Vanderford.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. Last fight of Vanderford's in his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken, I went against him. He ended up looking very impressive. Actually, I don't know if I went against him or I picked him. I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest, but he looked really good. He looked phenomenal, and like Alex alluded to, Brahimaj hasn't really shown me that he can beat a certain level. Like, yeah, Vanderford's not the best, but he's got some decent wins on his resume. I think he was the first or the second. I don't know who it was, but he did beat Fabian, and Fabian Edwards is on a run right now in PFL or wherever the fuck you want to call it now. Yeah, I got Vanderford. Enough me yapping. I think he's gonna be able to use his grappling in this fight. I think he might even test out his striking. Who knows? He's got some tools. I like how he looked in his last fight. But I'm gonna go with decision for Vanderford. 29-28 decision.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make it a clean sweep. Me and Mike actually met Austin Vanderford and Paige Van Zant at a bare knuckle fight like 2 years ago, and I picked him in his UFC debut against Ankalaev Vikentradov, who I could be wrong. I think he's on this card. No, he might be. Yeah, so he's on this card as well. Yeah, Vanderford, man. He only loses to a certain level. He's losing to like Gegard Mousasi, I think. Yeah, Gegard Mousasi like beat him pretty badly, but like a certain caliber of opponent outside, there is one like bad name on his resume in Bellator, but for the most part, he is only really losing to like a certain level for the promotion that he was at before the UFC. But I think the weight cut to 170 was a good move. I like his wrestling. Love that he trains an American Top Team. I think that's obviously one of the top 5 gyms in the whole world. He's got great training partners, great game plans to cook up. And as for Brahimaj, I feel like he's a guy who thrives in the heat of the moment, where it's a scrap, and he's able to get like his limbs around you and try to get you in a submission, or he's able to. He just forces risks. He just creates like chaos to an extent, and I feel as though that in his fights, like he has that sentiment of that if shit gets south, I'll find a way to get this to the ground and try to get in my submission game. And in this fight, I do not believe that luxury will be available. I feel as though that this is a potential top control central here for Austin Vanderford. I see him getting takedowns at will, and I don't even mind a ground and pound TKO, in all honesty. I think Brahimaj, you can fuck him up on the ground. I think his jiu-jitsu game isn't bad, but it's very opportunistic and very much reliant on his opponent making a mistake where he can capitalize. I don't see Austin Vanderford making these mistakes, And even on the feet, I don't mind if he takes a chance there. His boxing's improved from what I saw from the slight moments on the feet against Viketranov in the debut. But I'm actually going to go out on a limb. I'll say he gets another finish. I'm going to go with I'm torn between second and third round ground and pound TKO. I feel like in that first round he's going to get takedowns at will. He'll get out of some guillotine attempts or some bullshit Brahimaj is throwing up, some triangle or something, and he'll just like slam him back down and get back to work. I'll go with a third round TKO, I guess, ground and pound for Austin Vanderford. I'm optimistic that he displays his skill set adamantly in this fight. Third round ground and pound TKO.
Yeah, if Court McGee can out-grapple you, I think Vanderford can as well. I forgot to mention that during my prediction. And also the Gegard fight that you mentioned. Like, Vanderford shot a takedown on Gegard in like the first 5 seconds of the fight, and he dislocated his shoulder on that attempt. So, and he just got KO'd right after. So, yeah. I honestly don't even mind that as a loss. If, like, it was like an injury TKO type of deal. Yeah. Whatever. So, yeah, Austin Vanderford for the win. And, one slot above him on the card is the guy that he beat, Nikolai Veritnikov. I don't know why that is, but Veritnikov is higher than him on the card in the next fight against Punahele Soriano, and I think Punahele Soriano sleeps him. I think Punahele has looked pretty good since dropping down to 170. I think he's looked better. Medic isn't the greatest, but I do rate him sleeping him to some degree. I thought Medic was going to beat him. He's the lightweight going up to 170, whereas Puna was the middleweight coming down to 170. History tells you lightweights are, far better skilled. But he looked good. He's powerful. And he kind of kept that power while he came down to 170, because I think he just got outsized at 185, and he's finding a home at 170. I think Veritnikov just doesn't have anything. He's not a super good grappler. He's not a super good striker. He's just kind of there. Unfortunately, he won his last fight against Francisco Prado, and he's still in the UFC because he really just isn't anything special to watch whatsoever. Sloppy hands, sloppy kicks, sloppy wrestling. Nothing about him's good. I think Puna will probably sleep him, to be honest. I'm going to pick him to sleep him. I like the way he's looked recently, whereas I think Veritnikov's just ass. So I'm going to go Puna, a big overhand in round 1 or 2, KOs Veritnikov.
Yeah, I got Punelli as well. Punelli Soriano. He lives up to his name at times, but I think this is the one where he actually doesn't look like dog shit. I think he's going to knock out the dude in the first. I don't really rate Bro's chin like that. I don't really have anything to say about this fight. There's not really major to say. I think Punelli's obviously the better fighter. I got first round KO. Punelli.
This fight's at 170, correct? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Nikolai Viketranov, I ever say his last name, coming off the win against Francisco Prado, but I really do feel like that fight was just, there was such a size factor in favor for Nikolai. He probably is the slightly bigger guy, but I don't think the size advantage will be nearly as significant as it was in the Prado fight. Punele being a former middleweight. Yeah, I think Alex hit it on the nail. I think Viketranov is just a guy that's there. He's not a specialist in any department, and he doesn't really do anything that's going to wow you. He just tries to compete in multiple areas of a fight. But I feel like he's got the power advantage, hand speed advantage. So long as he doesn't get clipped with something stupid or gas himself out, I feel like he's able to display his skill set in this one. I'll go with Alex. I'll go with the second round TKO for Punele Soriano. I think he gets back on track on this one. Prado is just too small for Nikolai. I feel like Punele will be able to hold his own in the physicality of this fight. I'll go with the second round TKO for Punele.
Moving on to our next fight, bantamweight fight between KSW champ versus Bellator champ, Patchy Mix versus Jacob Whiplax. Pretty good fight. Very similar fighters on paper. Two jiu-jitsu guys. On the feet, Patchy's more of like a careful. He got his ass boxed the fuck up by Mario. And he tries to fight rangy and careful and try to use his oblique kicks and his calf kicks and his jab and his 1-2 and the knee up the middle and all the, the tall guy moves. Whereas Wicklax kind of likes to run in, scrap it, and on the feet. He has no wins by KO. So that kind of tells you what you need to know. He wins by submission almost entirely. He is a grappler first. But so is Patchy. I do favor Patchy on the feet here slightly. I think Wicklax is open. And honestly, if I'm saying that in a fight with Patchy Mix, that's saying something. I think Patchy Mix is honestly going to be the guy with the better footwork and just longer and keep him at the end of the jab. I think when Wicklax does come in and shoot takedowns, he might meet a knee and other certain long guy weapons. I don't, he got outboxed, and I think strikers will beat Patchy in the UFC. But I think these guys out of the rankings that are grapplers are kind of layups, to be honest. I don't think, I think it'll be a wash on the ground. I think it'll be very close grappling, and I think it'll be mostly up to who has the experience, and I think that's Patchy. I think the striking experience is also Patchy, which also says a lot because he got boxed up by Mario once again. So I just think Patchy's just got the experience here. He's bigger, he's longer. I think he's got more tools on the feet, whereas Wicklax kind of just comes in swinging. Wicklax does make the fight a brawl, and that's definitely his way to win this. I think he's got to get in the pocket and just start letting him rip against Patchy. But I do think... when you're coming over from KSW into the UFC, I think you can kind of see who is and who's not ready. And I think Wicklax is one of the guys who's not really ready. I think he's a little bit too wild. I think he's going to rely on his jiu-jitsu too heavily, which doesn't really work in the UFC anymore at this point in 2025. I think you have to have a little bit extra with your jiu-jitsu, and you can't just be a 2005 scrap or brawler with jiu-jitsu. So I think... Patchy Mix will get it done. I'm going to say decision. Runs him into a couple knees, a couple jabs, and just grappling's close, but his experience gets in the top position more often than not. I'm going to say 29-28, close fight. Patchy Mix, decision.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Patchy as well. I went with him in his last fight, and he looked like fucking dog shit. Apparently, bro was hungry for some 1-2s against Mario Batista, but I'm willing to let it slide on this one. I don't really know too much about Buddy in the KSW, but I think Patchy should get this one done. I think he should. He's beaten very good names in Bellator. He's beaten Kyoji, Rafael Stotts, Magomedov, and I think a certain other few people too in that come up. So I feel like some of those people are not that bad of fighters, and they are UFC caliber, especially Kyoji. So I rate who he's beaten, and I rate like the experience over his opponents. I think Patchy's gonna get it done by I'll go 29-28 decision. I'll go with a 29-28 decision by Patchy Mix. I could see him finishing the guy, but I haven't really done too much research on the other guy. I don't think I've seen him get finished before. So that's something to look out on. But yeah, I'm gonna another short and simple one here. I got Patchy Mix by decision.
Battle of former champions in different promotions other than the UFC. You got KSW versus Bellator here. It's a great fight, man, really, on the prelims of UFC 320. This is a fight I'm definitely going to be tuned in to watch. Patchy Mix in his UFC debut. I picked him against my boy Mario Batista, but, wasn't really impressed with what we saw. I actually regret making that pick. I like Mario Batista. I picked him in a majority of his bouts. But I was under the impression Patchy Mix would wrestle more in that fight. Decided to strike for 15 minutes and only shoot one takedown. Very curious as to why he did that, but nonetheless, he did it. He got outstruck by a guy who's going to fight Umar Nurmagomedov soon, and Mario Batista. No shame in that. But aside from that, coming into the UFC, there was a fair amount of hype for Patchy Mix, and I do think it was warranted. A good record. Good wins over guys like Mike said, Kyoji Horiguchi, Rafael Stotts, Sergio Pettis, you name it. But then there's the unknown in Jacob Wildlax, this KSW former champ. And he has been finished. He has been knocked out, I want to say twice, and he has been subbed. So his 3 losses all are by finish. And Patchy Mix isn't a bad finisher in his own right. He really isn't. He can grapple, strike, aside, he got a flying knee on Rafael Stotts like a minute into the fight. So like, he's all right on the feet, but he's a good grappler. Logic says Patchy Mix. This is a bounce back performance for him. Logic says he's probably the better grappler, probably the better striker, just probably the better overall fighter altogether, and probably in his prime as well at age 32. But I'm not going with Logic, man. He did not grapple in the fight with Mario Batista, and I do understand stylistically this is poised for Patchy Mix to have a great bounce back. But I'm going to take a shot with the unknown man. I'm going to go with the KSW man, Jacob Wilslax, Massa, his nickname. I just think he's going to make a fight of it. He's going to produce things that are going to create good optics. I do understand that Jacob does get cut a lot in fights, optics-wise. Like, if you see some of his KSW highlights, the dude's face is maimed, bloodied, bruised. But this is a guy that in his UFC debut, I do feel... Not gonna lie, even though he's a former champ, I kind of do feel he is the hungrier fighter. There's really not too much logic and X's and O's and strategy I could really give into this pick. This is kind of a dog shot, so to speak. But I look at some of the opponents Patchy Mix has beaten in his career. Magomed Magomedov, Rafael Stotts, Kyoji Horiguchi. I'm noticing a trend. They're not the biggest bantamweights in the world. They're kind of fringe flyweights in a way, a little bit. Nothing for nothing. Wilslax is now a small bantamweight. He's going to be 5'9", 72-inch reach, about the same as Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix will have like a 2-inch height advantage. Logic says Mix bounces back, but I think Wilslax is gonna put on a show for himself. And granted, the level of competition he faced at KSW probably isn't as good as Patchy Mix's competition. He's undefeated in decision scenarios, and I'm going to pick him to win a decision in his UFC debut. I think he's just going to go for more submission attempts. He's going to go for more higher intensity shots on the feet. I just feel like he's going to risk it for the biscuit, and he's going to get rewarded by the judges. I see this being a very super close fight. I think initially Patchy Mix, we'll see what he tries to do. Does he try to get the takedown early to set the tone that he's going to be physical in the grappling? Does he try to do what he did in his last fight against Mario Batista and try to kick it off with the striking? We'll see, but I'd like to think Jacob Wilslax can compete in a lot of these areas. My only concern with this pick is his reliance on being on bottom and going for submissions that aren't exactly like a guillotine or not exactly the best opportunity in MMA. As Alex said, being a jiu-jitsu base in 2025 is never a great look. But I'm going to take a shot with the kid, man. I'm going to go with Jacob Wilslax with a split decision win in his UFC debut and a good fight. I think we see a little bit of everything in this fight. Grappling, striking, clinch, elbow, you name it. I think we're going to see a full showcase of MMA in this bout. And I'm going to go with the Poland man. I'm going to go with Massa. Split decision win and an upset. I'm taking a shot.
That's an interesting pick. But next fight is Macy Chasson versus Yana Santos, or Yana Kunitskaya. I'm going to have to go Macy Chasson here. I don't think this is too hard to predict. Yana's super old. Macy has honestly looked pretty good in her last couple fights. She's pretty big. She's pretty physical. She's been getting fights done by TKO. I think she's on a pretty damn good win streak, too, unless she lost recently, and I'm forgetting who. Yeah, she lost to Ketlin Vieira, but that's not that bad, I'll be honest. Ketlin Vieira's got amazing takedown defense. I think Macy Chasson just crushes Yana Santos. I think it'll be a TKO. I think she'll get mount and just drop elbows. She's looked pretty dominant against most of the women she's been facing. She's been getting a lot of finishes. So I'm going to go Macy Chasson. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think she gets the takedown. I think Yana's she's had children now, so she's old, like her body I don't think is as battle ready as it once was. I think Macy's big for the weight class. She'll get the takedown. She'll maintain control, and she'll just beat her ass. So Macy Chasson, I'm gonna say Yana toughs out the first round, and Macy Chasson TKOs her in mount with elbows. Second round TKO.
Yeah, I got Macy here. I don't really see anything from Yana. She like Alex alluded to, she just had her child, rarely fights, and when she does fight, she gets the ever-living shit beaten out of her. So there's no point of picking Yana in a fight, especially against Macy Chasson. Macy Chasson is really, really she's not bad. I'm not gonna say she's really good, but she's pretty good. She's been looking good in her previous fights. Wait, her last fight was Caitlin Vera? Her last fight was Caitlin Vera. It's not a bad, like Alex said, it's not a bad loss. That was the one that gave the champ her toughest fight in the UFC, so not a bad loss at all. But yeah, I think I've yapped too much in this woman's fight, so I got Macy by decision. I think she'll get it done by decision. I think she could finish her, but I don't like picking finishes in women's MMA as much because, rarely happens in that aspect. But Macy's been the more finishing, the more prolific finisher in the division so far. So yeah, wouldn't be a bad pick. But yeah, I got Macy by 30-27 or a 29-28 decision.
Women's bantamweight division. Yana Kunitskaya, Yana Santos, the wife of Thiago Santos, coming off a good win, I want to say, against Miesha Tate, I believe, in her last time out. Macy Chiasson, not the best record in the UFC, but take it for what it's worth. She's been in there with the who's who of the bantamweight division for the most part. Funny enough, fun fact, I thought that was crazy. Macy Chiasson has 3 performance of the night bonuses. A guy like Terrence McKinney, who we think is a prolific finisher, has 0 performance of the night bonuses. Unwarranted. I feel like McKinney should at least have a bonus, but still, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think Mike said it best. Macy Chiasson has proven to be the more prolific finisher between the two of them. Age is catching up on Yana. She's getting old. She had kids. Mike and Alex mentioned it, the pregnancy. I just think Macy Chiasson, obviously looks the part in terms of what you want when you pick a women's MMA fighter. I think we all understand what I meant there. But yeah, I just think she's got it.
Fucking guy.
Yeah, she's younger. More prolific finisher. I think she can compete on the feet with Yana, if not be better. And in the grappling exchanges, I reckon she could do as good, if not better, than Miesha Tate was attempting to. So yeah, I'm just torn between a finish or a decision. But I'll go out on the limb. It's been a minute since I see Macy Chiasson in the cage. I feel like she's going to want to, make a statement. I feel like I'll go with a torn between a second and a third round TKO, like Alex said in Mount. I can hear what he's saying. She toughs it out in the first round, and then Macy just kind of pours it on in the second. So yeah, I'll follow Alex. I'll go with the second round ground and pound TKO for Macy Chiasson, where maybe she hurts her on the feet, then she follows up with it, gets on top, gets to a dominant position like Mount, and just starts raining shots where the ref just has to step in. I think she's just younger, faster, better striker, better grappler. This is her fight to lose. So yeah, give me Macy Chiasson by a second round TKO. I'll go with Alex on that one.
Moving on to our next fight, a featherweight matchup between Daniel Santos and Ju Sang-yu. Pretty good fight. Daniel Santos, we've seen more of him in the UFC. He's fought most of his career at bantamweight, and now only recently he's went up to featherweight. He beat one of his fellow countrymen in, I forgot the dude's name. There's a Korean guy. I guess I can look it up. But Cheong Yong Lee or something like that. But anyway, yeah, he beat.
Close talk.
It wasn't close.
Wait.
Wait,
who did you say?
Jiang Yang Lee decision. Yeah.
No, Alex. What was the name that you said?
I said Cheong Yong Lee, which I was.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
No.
I'm the racist here. My bad.
But yeah, Daniel Santos fights Jiang Yang Lee, and it's a pretty competitive, close fight. I think Ju Sang-yu can potentially make it similar on the feet, but I'll be honest, there's not a lot of hype out there on Ju Sang-yu. He's 31. He just made his debut recently. He's 9-0 against bums. That has to be, noted. 9-0 against bums. His one fight in the UFC, it was very impressive, but we also have to... It's Czechosargi. Czechosargi lost to Anshul Jabi. Like, this guy is one of the worst UFC fighters on the roster, that being Czechosargi. So, him knocking out Jakasargi isn't like the biggest prize by any means or shock. I think Daniel Santos is relatively well trained. I am not a fan of Shootbox. I think they're a terrible gym, and I think they're usually poorly trained. I think Daniel Santos has the experience advantage here at a high level. He's got decent wins over the likes of like John Castaneda and other guys where I think Juseng Yu doesn't have the experience against that level. Even though that's not like a crazy high level, John Castaneda is a pretty damn good bantamweight. He's pretty technically sound. And Daniel Santos has got an arsenal of stuff to fight with on the feet, and he's also got a grappling game. And if Juseng Yu has a hole, we'll probably figure it out in this fight. And it might be just too soon. Going from Jakasargi, who's a total bum, Daniel Santos, who's got that lighter man skill coming up from bantamweight. Tough guy, got a large arsenal of attack. Got grappling, got striking. I think we find out Juseng Yu's holes in this fight. I'm gonna say Daniel Santos by rear naked choke submission. I'm gonna say third round submission for Daniel Santos. I think the hole will be the grappling, and he'll figure that out in Juseng Yu. Yeah, Daniel Santos submission.
Not a bad pick by Alex, but I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna go with the Korean motherfucker. I got Jung Sang-yo. I got him. I think he's got a very good finishing percentage in his career. Not bad. And that this is where I'm getting to it. I don't like how much Daniel Santos gets hit in fights. I know it's in bantamweight and he's starting turning a new leaf now and da. But he's just very hittable. I don't like that. I don't like that when he's fighting a dude that's got a high finishing caliber. And I think his last 2 fights were by KO. But I don't know. I know he's got some knockouts on his resume. I'm gonna go with Juseng Yu. I think he's gonna knock out Daniel Santos. I don't like that Daniel Santos is hittable, and he also rarely fights. That is not that good. I know he fought this year, but he's still like a little inactive sometimes when it comes to fighting. So that's not a good sign to me. I got Juseng Yu by second round KO. I think he's gonna sleep him, but it's not a bad pick on Daniel Santos. He is pretty good, but I just don't like that he gets hit a lot, and he has been dropped before many times in his fights. There's times most of his fights in the UFC for him, he's been dropped, and then he'll face adversity. I think this time he'll be different.
Great fight in the featherweight division in our prelims here. Daniel Wiley Santos, hailing from Shootbox, the gym of Charles Oliveira. He's a good fighter, about like 5'7", 69 reach, 12-2 record. Pretty well rounded in his own right. He can strike, he can clinch, he can grapple, he can kick, he can do just about a lot of stuff. Decent ground game. Hailing from Shootbox. Going against undefeated Korean prospect Juseng Yu, coming off a great first-round knockout win over Jakasargi in his UFC debut. Pretty routine, no adversity really seen whatsoever in that fight. He just kind of had his way and just got him out of there early. This is a great fight. I do feel as though the experience and the just overall better strength of schedule in terms of competition is in favor of Daniel Santos. He was able to get a win this year over another Korean in Jung Lee. We'll just go with Lee, the guy who got a TKO by Hyder Emil. And I picked Lee in that fight, admittedly. I just thought that the size advantage would be drastically in his favor, and Santos was able to prove me wrong in that fight. His striking looked really good, his footwork looked really good. He was able to kind of mitigate the size of Lee and didn't really let him get his game going. He kind of had Lee chasing him around and getting tagged for it. As for Juseng Yu, we could definitely argue he hasn't necessarily been tested. Looking at his strength of schedule on Tapology and the record of the opponents he's faced, allegedly he has a ground game that we haven't even seen yet. We've kind of just seen the power. He's got 4 KOs, 4 decisions, and a sub. I don't mind the pick from Alex on Santos. Good gym, more UFC experience, just better overall caliber of opponent in general. But this was one of the dogs on the card that I did have circled, and I am going to go with Ju Sang Yu in this one. I'm going to go with a decision win, where he's able to show us that he's not just a first-round knockout merchant, and I do respect Santos' skill set. I do think he's definitely better than Jekasaragi. But from a physical stature standpoint, it's really not that much different. Jekasaragi was 5'8", 69 reach. Santos is like 5'7", 68 reach. So they're about the same size. I reckon Ju Sang Yu is a far more formidable striker than Lee, the guy that Santos was coming off the unanimous decision win over. I just feel like in the striking exchanges, I trust Ju Sang Yu more than Daniel Santos to get more big moments from the crowd. I think he's got the power advantage. And his grappling hasn't been tested yet, so I can understand why Alex would pick a submission win for Santos. But I'd like to think that athletically, Ju Sang Yu is going to be able to do decent in the takedown defense department, and he'll do enough to stay on his feet and win the moments on the scorecards. So I'm going to go with a decision win for Ju Sang Yu and an upset.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Farid Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. I think this is Farid Basharat all day. I don't think Chris Gutierrez is good. I think he's proven that he's ass. I'm kind of just over him. He's got good calf kicks. He's got a decent jab. He's got decent range management. He can still beat the bums. I think he might beat the other Basharat brother, but I think this one, Farid, he'll grapple actively, and that's been a weakness of Chris Gutierrez. If you're not Frankie Edgar, you're going to be able to take him down. Frankie Edgar was like 80 years old. So I do think Gutierrez is going to be getting taken down pretty easily. I think Farid's pretty competent on the feet as well. So I think, and there's no real power coming back his way. So I definitely have to go Farid. He's just got to avoid him getting his legs chewed up, and he's got that. I'm going to say Farid 30-27, grappling fest.
I got Basharat. I think he's going to cook him in here. I'm going to go with decision. I'll go 30-27. I think he's just going to dominate him. Nothing really else to say. Yeah, I got Basharat, decision, 30-27.
Yeah, I think we're going to make it a clean sweep here. I'm also going to go with the undefeated Basharat brother. Chris Gutierrez's last time out against John Castaneda, he won the fight, but man, that was closer than people remember that fight. And I remember Castaneda being able to take him down, like, not easily, but he was able to land a couple takedowns and able to stay on top. Chris Gutierrez, his style is kind of predicated towards a decision. Great calf kicker. Outside of that, what is he really, special at? His clinch ain't crazy. His grappling isn't crazy. His boxing isn't crazy. He just got a really good calf kick. He got really good timing with his kicks. I feel like if Basharat's able to just navigate around that, this is his fight to lose. I think he gets takedowns. I think he can compete in the striking, particularly in the boxing. But I'm going to go with a dominant decision win for Farid Basharat, where he kind of just displays his overall skill set. He shows us takedowns. He shows us good striking, good range management, and good fight IQ. I think he gets takedowns when he needs to and does work. And I think he's able to avoid the calf kick and outstrike Chris Gutierrez as well. I think he can win this in all three methods. I think there's I won't say that I'm picking a knockout, but I could see a world where he's able to catch him and just kind of ground and pound him. I can see a world where he's able to grapple, get to a dominant position, and maybe even threaten a choke. But I'll go with the decision. I think he just shows us his overall skill set in this one. Pretty confident in this one as well. All Chris Gutierrez is a leg kicker. That's it. Farid Basharat, dominant decision win. Yeah.
Moving on to our next fight of the card, it is Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Muniz. This is a close fight. The weakness of Edmund Shabazian has and always will be grappling. He's tried to work on it, but it's always been a problem. His cardio isn't great either. And I think you need to know when and when not to pick Edmund, because he's lost so many fights at this point, despite being such a young fighter. He loses usually pretty dominantly and takes a good bit of damage. But to be fair, he's lost to good fighters, Fluffy, Mavov, Hermanson, even Brunson, but Blonde Brunson back in the day. All these guys were at one point pretty decent. But I've seen people that aren't so great and on top of him as well, like GM3. I've seen him fumble a finish against GM3. GM3 make it to that ethereal third round and do what GM3 does best. But I see a lot of situations where I'm like, you should finish that. And I don't see you as somebody that's super, like, improved in any way. Like, I don't see you as a new version of yourself. I see you as the same guy, maybe with just slightly better takedown defense. And I think if at any point Andre Muniz does get him down, he's going to finish him. I think Andre Muniz's submission game is like that. And I honestly think his striking game is pretty underrated as well. He definitely does get KO'd by a certain level of guy. But I'll be honest, the guy he gets KO'd by aren't like pitter-pat strikers at range. They're usually guys that go forward and push the action. Like Ikram got right in his face and TKO'd him right away. I think that's the way you put him away. Not Edmund's style of fighting where he wants to kick and jab on the back foot. I honestly don't see Edmund as much anymore. I think Edmund is live. I do think he could get the KO in this fight. His chance is 100% laying on the feet. But I think Andre Muniz can somewhat play that game. Whereas I think if he goes to the ground with Muniz will sub him pretty easily. And I think that would be, like, I think it's like, don't touch the floor is lava sort of fight. You can't let him go to the ground with you. Because if you do, you're going to get subbed. I'm going to go Andre Muniz. I'm going to say armbar, second round. I'm going to say Shabazian looks good, stuffs a few takedowns. Muniz adjusts, gets a good takedown, finds one that works. Gets the armbar in the second.
Yeah, I got honestly, I got Muniz. I think Alex brought up some good points. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of picking Edmund Shabazian to win a fight. I know this one's a risky one too. Muniz ain't all that either. But Muniz has got the style to beat Edmund, bro. He's got the grappling style and ways to hold him down. And I could just see him ground and pound TKOing him. Like, I've just been envisioning that, and I've been doing some tape on that too. Because there was moments where I was like, I don't know if I want to pick him because he has been KO'd badly. Ooh, he did get pieced up by fucking Paul Craig. You know what? Nah. I don't know. No, I'm gonna stick with my pick here. I'm gonna stick with Muniz. I think he can hold down Edmund here. I think he can. There's no way that I could see him losing, but there's no way in my mind that I can trust a Edmund pick, man. Because that GM3 fight was horrible, man. Like, I thought that was going to be in the bag, but then he just started gassing out badly in the after the first round, and then just started getting his ass whooped against GM3 in the fight. I'm gonna go with third round TKO by Muniz. I think he's gonna make. I think Edmund will have a moment, but then he's gonna get gassed out trying to finish Muniz. And then Muniz is going to pick it up in the second and third and just start wailing on him on the ground. But yeah, I think I've yapped too much for this. I got Muniz by TKO, third round or second round. It don't matter. I think it'll be a later round TKO.
Very interesting fight in the middleweight division. This one is. Evan Shabazian, the golden boy. You look at his losses, none of his wins are really necessarily impressive, but I look at his losses and, like, man, he's fought some tough guys, bro. He's fought, the GM3 loss isn't great, but GM3 is a hallmark of middleweight. Nasty to Mavov, let me see, the likes of, I think he lost to Brendan Allen. No, this is, that's Andre Muniz who lost to Brendan Allen. But I look at Anthony Hernandez. Like, I look at the losses that Edmund Shabazian's sustaining in his career. I mean, these are tough middleweights: Brunson, Hermanson, Amavov, Hernandez, GM3. Pretty well-rounded fighters in their own right. He will have a significant youth advantage in this one, being 27, as Muniz is 35. Muniz has been in the UFC since 2019. Not both guys. They don't really have a win that captivates you, that makes you really want to believe in them to go further in the division. But their losses are against, pretty high-level middleweights for the most part. The problem for me with Edmund, aside from grappling, has been his cardio. I do think he slows down in fights, especially after round 1, where I think he's at his most dangerous. As for Andre Muniz, good jiu-jitsu game, decent striking for a grappler. It's a really tough fight because I could see a world where Shabazian clips him early and that's curtains, and then I could see a world where we get past the first round and what if Muniz is able to get takedowns. I do think there is a gap in jiu-jitsu between the two of them in favor of Muniz, but in that same sentiment, I do think there is a gap in explosiveness early on between Edmund and Muniz, and I do reckon punch for punch, Shabazian does hit harder than Muniz. This is really tough because initially I was kind of sold on Muniz as a dog pick. I think the grappling credentials, the gas tank. We don't know if we could trust Edmund's gas tank, but the way Edmund fights, I don't know if they're like in his ideal win condition. I don't know if there's going to be a round 2 and 3 the way he pressures early. Andre Muniz is like career 50% takedown offense. Shabazian's like 66% takedown defense. This fight is your classic striker versus grappler. I do think Muniz has a decent jab on the feet. He's not like out of like a fish out of water on the feet, but his brand of striking is reminiscent to me of like a Rodolfo Vieira jab. Doesn't really offensively shoot takedowns crazy pace, kind of just entertains the striking, and in a scenario where they get close they're able to pull guard or get to the ground and then begin their transitions. I'll admit I was initially on Andre Muniz, but I'm going to do a late switch. I'm going to go with the golden boy Edmund Shabazian in this one. I'll go with a first round TKO for Edmund Shabazian. I think he's going to be very adamant of the takedown threat. He's going to pressure Muniz and kind of go forward so that way he can see the takedown entries more clearly in the center of the cage. I expect round 1 Edmund to come out like with fire on his head. I expect him to pressure. I expect him to just not give really any respect to Muniz. I think he's going to force him to shoot a takedown where he will then sprawl it, then get back on the feet and just keep pouring on the pressure. I'm going to go to first round TKO for Edmund Shabazian. I just think the durability of Muniz isn't great. He is only really losing predominantly to grapplers for the most part, to the likes of Brendan Allen, Paul Craig, Ikram Aliskerov, and that isn't Shabazian's game. But I do think Shabazian has the aggression you need to try to fight Muniz on the feet. I don't think he's going to be timid. I think early on he's going to be the aggressor, and I think he finishes the fight in round 1. I'm going to go with a golden boy round 1 TKO to reinstill some hype off of the not a lackluster performance, but kind of like a mid-win against Petrosky. Like he could have did better. So I think he's going to just pressure. I think he's going to try to bully Muniz early. I'm going to go to first round TKO.
Moving on to our next fight, middleweight division still, Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. This is I think it could be close, potentially, but I think if Joe Pyfer has his way, like I think he will, I don't think it'll be very close. I think both of them have the tendency to gas out. And more recently, to be honest, it's been Abus that's taken other fighters into the later rounds and beaten them, like he did to Bruno Ferreira. Whereas Pyfer's kind of slowing down against Fat Man Gastelum. I don't think either one of them have a great gas tank. I don't think it's going to come to that, though. I think Abus takes a little bit of time to warm up, get his rhythm, kind of start getting his kicks and his knees, find his timing, whereas I think Joe Pyfer kind of goes out there and right away he's, like, locked in. And he's like, Joe Pyfer's his best in round 1. And I think Abus is kind of his best at, like, round 2. I think, like, right when he makes his reads, but he's still pretty relatively fresh. I think Pyfer's going to sleep Abus. That's going to be my prediction. I think he's got crazy power. He's got, in my opinion, he might even be the better grappler in this fight. Pyfer, I think this is going to be mostly a striking fight. I think Pyfer's got the power to, if he touches him, he'll knock him out. I think he's a lot better than Bruno Ferreira is, and if Bruno Ferreira can almost have you out of there, I think Joe Pyfer will have you out of there. So I'm going to have Joe Pyfer, first round KO. He lands power shots. I don't think Abbas's chin is that great, I'll be honest. If you're getting knocked out by Bilal Muhammad's coach, you're definitely, if you get touched by Pyfer, you're going to sleep. So I think, maybe Abbas can expose him and keep a good range on him like Hermanson did and flick the calf kick and the teep and jab and keep him at range. I do think that's how you can beat Pyfer and just get him to throw himself out. But with both of their gas tank problems, I don't think Abbas is really going to be that dominant in the later rounds like he could be and like he has been in others. And even in that Fahea fight where he did win in the late rounds, he was tired himself. So I don't think it'll be a situation, unless Pyfer fumbles a finish, but I don't think he would. I think Pyfer's got that one hitter quitter power. I'm going to go Joe Pyfer, connects in round 1, KOs.
Yeah, I got Joe Pyfer as well. I think he's gonna take him in the second, though. I think I could see a first round, but I think second round is where he's gonna start cooking. He's gonna start cooking in that fight. I think Joe Pyfer is gonna start a little slower this time because I think he's starting to see in his previous performances, he's gassed when he tries to go for the finish. I think this one he's gonna be more patient. Mainly because Abbas is very horrible when he starts quick, because he's trying to finish you. He's trying to do crazy shit against you, and then once he sees that he's not at 1% on his battery, he starts quitting. I think it's gonna look like not like the Strickland fight, but I think it will be a flat line in this one. I think he will he'll start a little slow in this one, and then he's going to knock him out in the second, where Abbas starts getting tired after having a competitive fight with him. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe Pyfer here, second round. I think he'll drop him, and then he's going to get him into back mount and just start wailing on him with punches. Or he could just. I think it will be a ground and pound TKO, but I think it will be a mixture of a knockout, a mixture with a knockdown into it. But yeah, I got Joe Pyfer, second round TKO or second round KO.
Interesting fight in the middleweight division. Both these guys, they have different styles, but their core principles I do think are very similar. They're big middleweights. They're physically imposing. They want to pressure the opponent. They're usually more finish reliant than decision prone, as we have seen. The longer the fight goes, they kind of seem to fade. Lately, yes, Abbas has been kind of showing that he can go past round 1 and still compete in the fight, as we saw in the Bruno Ferreira fight and the Michel Pereira fight. But I do rate, he lost the Jack Hermanson fight, but I do rate Joe Pyfer for going the 5 rounds against a guy who's as elusive as a Jack Hermanson. That was like a veteran savvy performance from Jack Hermanson, and truthfully, I could see Abbas taking elements of that game plan in the kicking game and being on the back foot and trying to make Joe Pyfer overextend himself. I do think Abbas is the superior kicker in this matchup, but do I trust his gas tank to execute that game plan for a hard 15 minutes? Not necessarily. And I do not think that he will have the same luxury he had in the Bruno Ferreira fight, where he was able to get takedowns and kind of stall, not so to speak stall, but able to buy himself time to recover from the cardio that he had spent and taxed. I don't think he'll be able to do that against the likes of a Joe Pyfer. At least in the UFC level, outside of Jack Hermanson shooting a takedown only a couple. I haven't really seen a time where Joe Pyfer was struggling on the ground. I'd like to think his BJJ training with the likes of a Sean Brady will have him prepared for that situation. I picked Joe Pyfer by knockout in his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum, and he dropped him in the first round twice and wasn't able to finish that, but Kelvin Gastelum is a very durable guy. He's got a great chin. His gas tank isn't bad for a fat guy. good boxing, and he proceeded to outstrike, in my opinion, Joe Pyfer in rounds 2 and 3. But in a world, if Joe Pyfer drops Abus Magomedov, I don't see him popping back up like Kelvin did and be able to compete for the next 2 rounds. I think if Joe Pyfer cracks him, I feel like that's curtains. And for that reason, I'm torn. It's between first and... I could really see him getting a knockout really in all 3 rounds, to be honest. I could even see in a world where they make it past round 2 and they're both fatigued and exhausted, but Pyfer just lands and his power is more significant than Abus's. Alex said it best, man. If you're getting knocked out the way you did for the $1 million Grand Prix in PFL by Bilal Muhammad's coach, I am very much in the mindset that Joe Pyfer can absolutely destroy you. This is tough, but I am going Pyfer. I'm just the tough part is picking him which round. I'll go first round. I'll go first round. I think he wants to not go an extended period of the fight like he did in the Gastelum fight. I feel like if he touches Abus the way he touched Gastelum in that first round, he cracks him. I'm gonna call. He'll take a couple calf kicks, and we'll be like, oh, okay, Abus is starting to chip away at that lead leg. And he's almost going to let Abus keep kicking him, and he's just going to take one and throw an overhand off it that drops Abus, and he jumps on top, and that's the fight. I'm going to go to first round, basically a ground and pound TKO, essentially, where he just clips him. He's going to sit down on a calf kick, and he's just going to wing an overhand that catches Abus right on the chin, and he's out. Curtains. I'll go to first round knockout for knockout TKO for Joe Pyfer. He's gonna sit on a calf kick. He's gonna throw an overhand, and that's the fight.
I'm just catching up to the live contender series.
You're good.
All right, moving on to our next fight. It is a featherweight matchup between Josh Emmett and Yusuf Zalal. It's honestly, at this point, I think it'll be a one-sided fight. I don't see Josh Emmett being able to KO or land, really, even for that matter, on somebody as elusive as Zalal. I know he gets a lot of hate, and rightfully so. He's quite boring in moments. He's a backpedaler, but he does have absolutely phenomenal footwork and defensive movement. And I think with a guy who really just got a couple big meaty hooks and an overhand, I think he's going to be able to do wonders. I think Josh Emmett's still a little bit more in the game than, Calvin Kattar, but he honestly has no bag. And I think those guys get eaten alive by Yusuf Zalal. I think the kicks will be on full display. I think the knees will be there. I think the grappling could potentially even be mixed in. I do think it'll be mostly a striking fight. I think Emmett's got a relatively good grappling game of himself, but don't be surprised if Yusuf Zalal wins this fight by submission. I'll be real. He's been winning a lot of fights by submission, and Emmett's been losing fights by submission to Yair. And I think Yusuf Zalal is a better grappler and submission artist than Yair is. So I don't think that's out of the realm of question. But I do think it'll be a decision. I think he's going to be able to run him into some big shots in some moments, knees, jabs. But mostly it'll be a footwork, backpedaling, don't get hit, and head or pat back. But I do think a big moment that will seal this deal for Yusuf Zalal, even if Josh Emmett somehow does make it close and close the distance, is Josh Emmett wears damage very badly. I think the moments where he does get hit by jabs, the 1-2, the knee, he's going to get cut, he's going to get bruised, and you're going to see all that. And I think that visual, even if it is close, will make it go to Zalal. But I think I don't think that'll be needed. I think Zalal will be dancing circles on Emmett. I think the jab, the calf kicks, the knees, I think he's just going to have a relatively easy 30-27, kind of reminiscent of the Kattar fight, but I think he's going to have Emmett a little bit more figured out, and he's going to have a slightly better performance with more strikes thrown. I'm going to say 30-27, clear cut, Yusuf Zalal, maybe even 30-26. But I think he's going to eat Emmett alive on the feet. I hope he can have a more entertaining performance, because that Kattar fight was shit. But I think he will, considering that's what he has to work off of. I'm going to go Yusuf Zalal, 30-27.
Good fight. I was able to interview Yusuf Zalal, I think a month or two ago, maybe a month ago. It was very recent that I got to interview him. It was a very good interview. I think what I ain't gonna go with Yusuf mainly because I did interview him, but I think, I am gonna go with him mainly because like of what I've seen in other interviews. Like he's been, when he was out in the UFC, he was like competing in this little like balanced MMA promotion. It was like one fight he'll have an MMA fight, next fight he'll have a boxing fight or a Muay Thai fight or some shit like that. He'll fight those type of people in that tournament, and he won that tournament by beating everybody in their own aspect, which is the crazy part. And I know I shouldn't be going by that mainly because like we don't even know who he fought, but I think that was very impressive to me that he was able to beat them at their own like game and stuff. I'm gonna go with Yusuf Zalal mainly because I could just see him frustrating Josh Emmett, and I know Lerone Murphy is good, really good, but I feel like him and Zalal aren't far off, if you know what I'm trying to get, and their standpoint. Like both are very good at trying to fight at range and not try to get hit too much. But I think Yusuf's better because I haven't really seen him get hit too much, and he also had a close fight in his against Ilia Topuria, and I think he was Ilia's first decision fight too, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Josh Emmett is as well, but I think I'm gonna go with. I can't go with Josh Emmett mainly because he has KO power. Yeah, he has KO power, but anybody can have a punching a knockout advantage, and they could still lose. I think Yusuf's gonna use his grappling in this fight. I think he's gonna be very smart in this fight, try not to get hit. People might see it a little bit boring, mainly because he's not trying to get KO'd and not trying to entertain a rowdy fight with Josh Emmett, because I feel like that's what Josh Emmett's going to come into. He's going to probably try to think he can make this a scrappy fight. I think this is going to be a technical fight. I think he's going to pick apart Josh Emmett, and he's going to try not to get hit. Obviously, he'll get hit, but I'm going to make sure he doesn't get hit with that big ass overhand that Josh Emmett knocks you out with. I'm going to go with Zalal I'm going to go 29-28, but I could see a masterclass decision at hand in this fight. I think he will style on him, and then Josh Emmett's probably going to have the third round and just like try to entertain the crowd, being like, "This guy ain't fighting me. Come on and fight me." And then Zalal's just trying not to get knocked out. But anyways, I'm going to keep this short and simple. It wasn't really short and simple, but you know what I mean. Enough of me yapping. I got Zalal by masterclass 29-28 decision.
Good fight in the featherweight division. Josh Emmett, he's fought just about everybody in this weight class outside of like the likes of Alexander Volkanovski. He's always going to have that puncher's chance. Josh Emmett's very explosive for being someone 40 years old. Kind of amazing how he's able to retain that explosiveness and that intensity at this age. He's only losing to a handful of guys, really. 5 losses in his career. The Jeremy Stevens knockout's vicious. The Yair Rodriguez submission. He's got good. He doesn't really use his wrestling. Funny enough, he doesn't really use it. Low center of gravity, crazy power. At any given moment, he can knock you out. He was able to go 5 rounds with Lerone Murphy. I guess in terms of his cardio and his durability, I guess that looked good. He was able to go the distance with the likes of Ilia Topuria. I do think, yes, Zalal is 4 inches taller, 2-inch reach advantage, 11 years younger, basically, than Josh Emmett. So he's got pretty much all the attributes you would think you need to beat him on the feet. And I do think he can outpoint him on the feet with the kicking game, with the jab, moving around, kind of luring the overhand and seeing it coming and being able to counter it. I could definitely see those things occurring. But to be honest, I actually think that that's kind of really the only element of the fight where Josh Emmett could fuck around and land the puncher's chance. He could fuck around and land the overhand. I do think Zalal might even mix in takedowns in this fight, truth be told. He only has been subbed one time by Yair Rodriguez, but if that guy's able to get a sub on you, then I'm pretty sure a guy with 9 career submission wins of his 17 can get a sub on you as well. I do think the decision aspect, I see what Alex and Mike are going for, where he's just staying elusive, staying on the back foot, seeing all the big shots coming, evading them, and landing his points. But I do think Zalal isn't happy with his last performance against Calvin Kattar. I think he wants to make a statement in the featherweight division. I think he wants to show, hey, I'm gonna get a finish on Josh Emmett where Lerone Murphy couldn't. And I'm actually gonna go with a submission win for Yusuf Zalal on this one. I could see it being via club and sub, and I can also see it being just off a takedown and advancing positions where Josh Emmett wasn't expecting this. Traditionally in fights, Josh Emmett has decent low center of gravity, decent wrestling defense, takedown defense. He doesn't really, he's pretty confident in that area of a fight that he can defend the takedown and you ain't going to do anything to him outside of the Yair fight. But I do think if you're able to get Josh Emmett down, I don't think his jiu-jitsu is particularly great, as we saw in the Yair Rodriguez fight for the interim title. I want to say that was UFC 284, I believe. That was the same card as Volkanovski and Islam won. But going to this fight, I think Zalal wants to make a statement. I think he's going to be on the back foot. He's going to be annoying for Emmett to try to track down and get. But anytime Emmett does close the distance, I could see a world where Zalal is shooting takedowns, taking advantage of his over-aggression and getting him on his back. And if he does get him on his back, I could see an arm triangle. I could see him advancing to a position where he might even threaten, get into a side control Kimura. Yes, Josh Emmett does have small limbs, so it's hard. He's very compact. It's very hard to get arm bars or leg locks or any of those types of submissions. And he could probably tuck his chin in well for chokes. But I think there is a bit of a grappling gap between the two of these guys. And aside from the physical advantages he already has, 4 inches in height, 2 inches in reach, 11 years in youth, I feel like he's going to just up the pace, up the tempo, kind of give a lot of variables in the fight that Josh Emmett isn't going to be ready for. So I'm actually going to go with a torn between a second and a third round submission. I do think round 1 will be Josh Emmett's best round. I feel like he has to come out guns blazing. He has to try to look for the knockout early. Otherwise, he'll realize, okay, I'm going to have to play the footsie game with this guy, and he's going to have to try to track him down. I'll go with a second round submission. It'll be either club and sub, or Yusuf Zalal would have gotten the takedown in advanced position where he's threatening the submission. I'm going to go with a second round submission for the Moroccan Devil.
Moving on to our feature fight of the night, and all but confirmed to be the fight of the night, Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Rountree. Great fight on paper. This will be a scrap. It always will be when Yuri's in there, and that's why everybody loves him. I think he's got this fight. I think Yuri, this new version of Yuri that we've seen recently, is different. The one that we saw in Jamal. And I understand that Jamal hasn't looked good recently. Khalil did good against Jamal. He chopped him up. But he didn't do what Yuri did. Yuri looked evolved. Khalil, we all kind of knew that, maybe he leg kicked Jamal to a decision. That's a real likelihood. But if I told you Yuri's going to have Matrix-like head movement, you'd call me a retard. But it happened. And he kind of almost mimicked some things I feel like that he saw Pereira do. And I think that worked out well for him. I like this new Yuri. This African guy's getting fucked up on the Contender Series.
Oh, shit. He's a massive favorite, I think.
My bad. I'm losing my train of thought. But Yuri is a dog. I think Khalil, he's explosive. He is tough. But I do think he's less of a dog. I don't think he fights with the same reckless abandon. I don't think he puts that same pressure on. And now that with this defensive Yuri, I can't really even call it reckless abandon. It's unreckless abandon. I don't know what to call it. He comes in the same way he normally does. It's just he sees the shots coming better. He's able to slip better. I'm not sure what it is, but he's looked great in his last fight against Jamal. I'm excited to see him back here today, or on Saturday. I think he's got this fight. I think he actually hits harder than Khalil does. I think Khalil is, to be honest, I don't see Khalil having a lot of success in this fight outside of the leg kicks. I could see maybe him timing an overhand and dropping Yuri. That could potentially happen. But I think Yuri is just a better striker. And I think that'll be proven. I think he's got a lot of dynamic ability to him, where Khalil doesn't. I think Khalil kind of big, meaty shots with the hands, or a really hard calf kick or oblique kick. Whereas Yuri, he's got the elbows, the knees, the kicks, the punches. He throws shots from weird angles. I think Yuri, I think this is a great fight for Yuri to show what he's improved upon, and to really make that seal on, hey, if Ankalaev wins and does beat Pereira, I'm next for the title shot, not Olberg. And I think if he does do what I think he does do to Khalil, I think he will get that title shot, because I think, although Olberg looked impressive, Dominic Reyes also mostly looked unimpressive, and I think that was a big reason. Like, he looked fat, he was wading into range with no defense. I think if Pereira gets the title fight, that's when Olberg gets the title. If Pereira gets the title, Olberg gets the title fight. But if it's still Ankalaev, I think Yuri, with an impressive performance, can take that away, and I think he will. I'm going to say, Khalil does some good work in the first round, but Yuri does better, wins the first round. Maybe Khalil gets it by a knockdown, but I think Yuri's going to really start doing well by the end of the first, and then into the second, he's just going to put away Khalil at some point, and I don't think it'll be very competitive outside of the leg kicks and maybe a knockdown. But I think it's going to be mostly one-way traffic. Yuri TKO, second round, great fight. Yeah, Yuri.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I think Yuri's just gonna. If Yuri comes in like how he looked against Jamal, I think he's definitely gonna win. This is it's a winnable fight for either or. Both are coming off one of the most dominant performances that they've ever had in their careers. You're like, I don't know, man. This is gonna be a fun fight. I think this should have been 5 rounds. If it isn't 5 rounds, I like this fight a lot. I got Yuri. I think Yuri's gonna win. I think he's gonna finish Khalil. I just think, I don't know, man. Khalil is getting older. This is the problem here. Khalil's getting older, and yeah, he looked good against Jamal, but at this point, who hasn't looked good against Jamal? But I like Jamal Hill, but unfortunately, he hasn't been the same since that Achilles tear. So yeah, I got Yuri in this one. I think he's gonna finish. I think he's gonna finish Khalil here. I think Khalil's gonna take a shitload of damage, and then he's gonna go down in the third. I got Yuri taking this one. I think it'll be a war. I think Yuri is gonna dodge some dangerous shit from Khalil. But the thing with Khalil is that I have been seeing too is he does good against certain people, but when he fights a high caliber like kickboxer or striker, he tends to get his ass whooped some of the time. Like Dustin Jacoby, I know he was looking good against Alex, but Alex was showing levels in the later rounds. And I mean, Johnny Walker's not good, but that's still a bad loss, dog. Like you can't get fucking slept by Johnny Walker like that. And yeah, and I think there's probably other ones that I'm not even naming of. But yeah, I got Yuri by late rounds TKO, third or second. I think he is going to make this a war, and I think he's going to make Khalil miss, frustrate Khalil a little bit, and then Khalil's going to get tagged up a bit and go down, and I think he's going to wince. I think he's going to look bad when he gets timed. But yeah, I think I'd be out too much.
Great fight in the light heavyweight division. Yuri Prochazka coming off a great win over Jamal Hill, and Khalil Roundtree coming off a great win against Jamal Hill. Truth be told, I do think this is a bit of a step down in competition for Yuri Prochazka. I do understand Khalil Roundtree put up a very good showing against Alex Pereira, and he's coming off arguably his best win in his career against Jamal Hill, where he systemically broke him down throughout that fight, dropped him multiple times, and was able to hurt his leg and just showcase his striking. But I mean, I look at Yuri, who he's fought, man. Like, since his debut, he's fighting number 7 in the world, Volkan Ozdemir, top 5, Dominic Reyes, champion Glover Teixeira. Then he gets injured. Then he comes back, fights Alex Pereira for 295, the vacant light heavyweight title. Then comes back in UFC 300, fights Alexander Rakic, who, hot take, I actually do think overall in MMA, I do consider him a better fighter than Khalil Roundtree. Maybe not as dangerous, but overall fighter, I do think Rakic is better than Roundtree. Hot take. And then he comes back, loses to Alex again, and then he wins against Jamal. He's fighting former champions. He's fighting top 10 dudes. Khalil Roundtree, yes, he had a good showing against Alex, but he did get broken down. Let's not forget. He did get eviscerated. As you could tell the way by I'm talking, I am picking Yuri Prochazka as well, as Alex and Mike are. I just feel like, Khalil Roundtree's got power. He's got leg kicks. This is going to be unorthodox samurai versus the Muay Thai guy, so to speak. Yuri's much bigger. Reach advantage. I really do feel as though if Khalil Roundtree doesn't get the calf kicks going, unless Yuri walks into an overhand, I don't see it. I think in damn near every phase of MMA, I think Yuri's got the advantage. I trust his gas tank more. I trust his finishing instinct more. I trust his ability to recover more. I trust him in the clinch. I actually do feel, little spoiler alert, I think he could do some gruesome things in the clinch. I think he can replicate the Johnny Walker TKO on Khalil Roundtree in the clinch. Straight punches, I do think Yuri's better. Hooks, I'll give Khalil Roundtree. I'll give Khalil Roundtree hooks and calf kicks. I think he's better in those departments of the fight. But outside of that, I think Yuri's got better gas tank, better finishing instinct. He's bigger. He's fought better competition. I just feel like he has a lot of advantages in this fight. And I feel like Yuri knows how close he is back to that title shot. And he's going to bring the intensity. He's going to bring just everything into this fight. And I really like what I saw in the Jamal Hill fight, man. I think Alex hit it on the nail. We are seeing an evolution of his overall game. We are seeing a potential mythological fighter. A defensively aware Yuri Prochazka is a scary sight for anybody in this light heavyweight division. He's got the power. He's got the gas tank. He's got the recoverability. He's able to submit Glover Teixeira. So to say he can't grapple is a lie. Like, he was able to submit, call it what you want, fatigue, bad decision making from Glover in the 5th round. He got it done. He was down on the scorecards. He got it fucking done. I do not believe Khalil Roundtree could have did that. I envision a world where Glover Teixeira mauls Khalil Roundtree and gets him down. Can Khalil Roundtree knock him out early? For sure. But we're not talking about that fight. We're talking about this one. But like I said, man, outside of leg kicks and hooks in the pocket, I really don't see any real advantage significantly in favor of Khalil Roundtree. I think this is a levels fight, and Yuri shows the levels. If he keeps up with the defensive awareness, I think he is hell-bent on fighting Magomed Ankalaev and securing the next title shot. He does have some competition. Carlos Olberg is coming off that great first-round knockout over a former title challenger in Dominic Reyes last Saturday. But Yuri, I think the UFC wouldn't mind throwing him another title shot if he is able to get a captivating finish, and I do think he is able to do that. I'm going to go with, I think he knocked out Jamal in the 3rd. I'll go with a tough. I'll go second round TKO for Yuri Prochazka. I think he's going to look good early. I think we're going to see range management from Yuri a little bit. He is going to move forward, of course, as we always know. Yuri isn't going to just change his game and be technical all of a sudden. But like Alex said, I think the terminology for what we're seeing from the evolution of Yuri, he said he's right. Yuri used to fight, he still does, fight with a sense of reckless abandonment. Now what I'm seeing with the head movement, I'm seeing calculated risk-taking. I'm seeing him getting in the pocket, moving his head, finding the angle on these shovel up cuts. I think he's going to do gruesome things in the clinch. Elbows, knees, you name it. I think he brutalizes Khalil with the clinch. I'm calling for a clinch TKO where he's able to almost catch Khalil Roundtree out of range throwing a calf kick, get the Thai collar clinch, and finish the Muay Thai guy with a Muay Thai move. I envision him replicating what Johnny Walker did years ago against Khalil Roundtree. That's the finish I'm seeing in my mind in this fight. I'm going to go to second round clinch TKO via bows and knees from Yuri Prohaska, and he stamps a potential title shot against Magomed Ankalaev. Second round TKO for the Last Samurai.
Moving on to our co-main event. Bantamweight title, Merab Dvalishvili, learned read, speak English, versus Corey Sandhagen. Not a tough fight. I think most people are picking Merab here, and for right reason. I'm also picking Merab here. I do think Corey Sandhagen could potentially win, potentially make it a tough fight, but I can't pick that to happen, to be honest. What am I going to say? He lands the flying knee or some shit? He's only doing that to the youngs, to Frankie Edgar, to Marlon Moraes. He isn't able to do that to guys like Merab, and he really doesn't have power behind his hands either. Very much of a pitter-pat guy than, people thought he was when he was getting all those knockouts. It was really just old people. He does kind of have to go back to that mindset, I think, where he's I don't know if he's got to go read The Art of War and Sun Tzu and shit and put him back in that mindset. But he's got to he's got to go back to being the violent Corey. He's got to get in there and make it dirty. He's got to try to cut Merab with elbows, land big shots that matter and could potentially put Merab out. Because Merab is coming, and he's going to do what Merab does. And that's the thing with Merab. Everybody knows what he's going to do. It's just hard to stop. But I don't think it's impossible. It's just that he's going to keep coming. How do you catch him? You're going to have to find a good time to just catch him. You're going to have good takedown defense, and you're going to have to time something meaningful. And nobody's been able to do that. Corey is smart enough to do that. I think he is a technical fighter. I think he's been working up a good game plan. Merab fights the same way in all of his fights. He is improving, though, which is scary. Merab, his striking has gotten him better. He's really not somebody that drills a whole lot. And he's been saying he doesn't drill. But his coach has been getting him to drill and starting to see improvements and starting to get him to finally work on the technical stuff. And I think that's kind of what resulted in that submission win against O'Malley. And I could see something similar here. I could see a submission win happening for Merab. I could see it being a ground and pound or a decision. But I think Corey is really good with the scrambles. I think it's going to have to be just tiring him out like Merab does. I think that's the way he wins. He just tires Corey out. We get to the fourth and the fifth, and Corey isn't the same guy, and he's just pretty much, it's going to look, I think, a lot like the Merab-Yan fight, where he's just getting back up, back down, getting back up, back down. Every time you want to get, back to work, you just have, Merab on the fence with you, just shovel uppercutting you, back down to the ground. You finally get back up, shovel uppercuts. Shot. Oh, you defended that? We're back on the feet. Punch, 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 shot. And it's really hard to deal with. I like the fact that that Sandhagen has the tools to potentially deal with it, but I just don't see finishing threat really back at Merab. I don't see Sandhagen getting a submission, definitely, and I don't see him getting a KO with anything that isn't a massive knee. And even then, I can see Merab just fucking eating it. So I don't think, he's got good scrambling abilities, but Merab doesn't give a fuck, really. He's not somebody who's going to be oh, you out-scrambled me. He doesn't care. It isn't a negative thing to him in the slightest. He's just going to shoot again because he wants you to work. Good, scramble out. I'm going to make you scramble out 10 more times. Can you keep it up? And, Corey's got good elevation training, got good cardio. He's training out there in the Rocky Mountains, high elevation. But Merab's just different. He's on EPO. That's the only logical reasoning. I think he just fucking walks through Corey. I think he probably does get hit with a flying knee or some shit at some point and just eats it. He lands the flying knee. Yan ate it. Other people have eaten the flying knee. TJ ate it, twice. The only person who didn't eat it was Frankie Edgar, which, fair enough, that's Frankie Edgar. I think Merab's going to be able to eat whatever Corey comes his way. Corey has to time something very, very good. and he's got to predict what Merab's going to do. But I don't even think Merab really knows what he's going to do. I think he's just wants to get you to the back of the fence and then shoot. And sometimes he'll shoot in the open too, but Corey's just got to time and eat. That's his way to win. And I'm not going to pick that as your only way to win over somebody like Merab, who's just a marauder. So I'm going to go Merab. I'm going to say like 50-44, 50-43, something like that. Maybe 49-42, 49-43. I think Merab gets a couple 10-8s later on where Corey's just gassed out. I don't think he's going to be as tough as Jan was to just keep getting back up. I could honestly see him just getting TKO'd in like the 5th or the 4th by Merab. I don't mind that, but you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go that. Since Merab's going to get more technical training, he's been getting more finishes, I could see Corey Sandhagen, like, if he really does get gassed out like that, like, he really will have nothing than that. Like, you won't have the explosive energy to jump for a flying knee. You won't have, like, the ability to throw a spinning wheel kick. At that point, there is no finishing threat coming back. I think Merab will rape him. And I think it would be bad. I think he, like 4th, 5th round, that is, like, prison shower raping, like, waiting to happen. Like, that is going to be bad. Like, I'm going to say TKO for Merab, 5th round.
I really am not looking forward to this fucking fight. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably... I fucking hate Merab, bro. His fucking style is so gay to watch, man. It is so fucking gay. I hope Corey Sandhagen knocks him the fuck out. I really do. But lately, Corey's been fighting like a pussy lately, so I don't think that will work. He's only finishing old motherfuckers. And Merab is 35, He is getting older. But I'm not picking Corey Sandhagen because I do not like picking Corey Sandhagen to beat certain top level opponents. Not saying that Figueiredo and certain people aren't top level, but Merab's just fucking different, bro. He's got fucking Viagra levels of cardio. It's just insane. I can't really maintain anything to say about him. He's a little fucking gerbil. Fucking goblin of a thing. I fucking hate the motherfucker, bro. I fucking hate Merab. I think he's just gonna knee his... I know he can finish him. I know he can. But I would like to say Corey's got better grappling than O'Malley. And he didn't get finished by Umar. I mean, shocker. Umar hasn't really finished anybody lately. But I don't know, man. I just don't want to trust into a finish in Merab. I fucking hate Merab. Please, I need something. I need to enjoy some happiness. I don't think I'm going to be very happy with the co-main and main event. So, and how my year has been, it's been kind of shitty. So who knows how it's going to happen. Merab might just fucking first round knock out the motherfucker. Who knows? Not really a big Corey fan, so I don't really care. But anyways, I got Merab by decision. I know I've ranted a lot. I think he's just going to do what Merab normally does, not gas out, knee him in the asshole a couple times, knee him in the thigh, and then slam him, kiss him on the cheek, might fucking suck his nipple or some shit. Who knows? He's going to do some gay shit on the ground. People are going to love him because he's funny as fuck. And even though he's not funny, kindergartner humor, by the way. Grown-ass man, by the way. Anyways, this is too long for me to even explain. I got Merab, 50-44, 50-45 decision. I think he's just going to knee the thighs, wrestle fuck, and everybody's just going to still find a way to glaze him. I don't know why, but hey. Different strokes for different folks. Anyways, Tony, you can go.
Co-main event of the evening for the Bantamweight Championship. Rob Dvalishvili, man, I'll admit it. Boy, I'm wrong in his fights, man. I have picked against him in a lot of fights, and I have been wrong. I'm not gonna fucking lie. I try to remember the last. Yeah, I can remember as far back as the Jose Aldo fight. Since then, I've probably pretty much picked him in every fight. against him. I picked Cejudo. I picked O'Malley twice. I picked Jan when they fought in that theater, wherever that venue was. I want to say I'm like 5+ fights. In his last like 5+ fights, I have picked against Merab, and I have been horribly wrong in every one. Call it what it is. Hatred, call it if you want. But, I do got to give the man credit. He is, by all accounts, the greatest bantamweight of all time. And it's really pretty much due to a large part that he has unhuman gas tank. I have never seen cardio like this in any real sport. Basketball, football, soccer. I have never seen someone with the gas tank of Merab Dvalishvili, the Machine. His nickname is as candid and as fitting as any nickname in MMA has ever been. He truly is a machine. We have seen some glimpses, some chinks in the armor. A couple exchanges here and there. The Marlon Moraes fight, the Henry Cejudo fight, where they're able to clip him on the chin with a hook. But man, this guy just keeps pushing, keeps going forward. And he imposes his will and breaks his opponents. And that's just simply what he does. The resume speaks for itself. I mean, he's beaten Henry Cejudo. He's beaten Jose Aldo. He's finished Sean O'Malley, beaten him twice, beat Petr Yan. I mean, we don't even need to talk about it. Merab Dvalishvili is clearly, up to this point, the bantamweight GOAT. As for Corey Sandhagen, he's only lost to a certain caliber of opponent in the bantamweight division for his career. The likes of Petr Yan for the interim championship, Aljamain Sterling on the road to a title shot, got backpacked and subbed in the first round. The TJ Dillashaw fight, that was very controversial, but it didn't do enough to get his hand raised apparently. He literally loses to former champions. This is who beats Corey Sandhagen. So I do think Corey is as well as Umar Nurmagomedov. I do think Corey is good. I think he is well rounded, and I do think he presents some interesting physical attributes into the fight that he can use against Merab. Being the taller guy, having the reach advantage, having long legs, the elbows, the knees. He has the tools. Alex said it best. He really does have the tools. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the way Corey's been fighting in terms of not really having a finishing aspect in his game, but I do feel as though that he has the ability to watch the tape and study it. And there are a couple of instances, like we look at the hooks, obviously in the pocket, that's a major area of the chin you want to attack Merab. But in the first O'Malley fight, the teeps, the body work, that is what Corey Sandhagen, I feel, needs to go after. We're all thinking flying knee and hook, but, what makes Merab special? The gas tank. How are we going to tax the gas tank? I feel as though where people go into the fight with Merab going forward, clashing with him in the center of the cage, they then get into a bit of a pace battle. I think Corey Sandhagen's going to fight this fight calculated to an extent. I think he's going to try to circle around, lure Merab forward. When they get close, I think he's going to turn into a Beyblade. I think he's going to start just spamming elbows autistically. Corey, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. No, I don't. But I'm just saying, you should do this. You should listen to me on this one. Do whatever you can to stay on your feet, obviously, but knees to the body, elbows off the brake.
If you want to lose, listen to Tony.
Yeah, I know, right? Listen to Tony for a belt. But no, logic very much. It says Merab, man. He's got the gas tank, the strength. Alex said it best. His striking's evolving. It's getting better for a grappler. This is the best gas tank I've ever seen in my life. It's tough though, because I do think Corey does have the tools to make this interesting. The optics with the elbows, the knees to the body. How will that affect the gas tank? He can go back and watch the tape, see some combinations Umar was able to land off kicks. He has a kicking advantage over Merab in this fight. Logic says Merab. I have went against him pretty much on this win streak. And damn it, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go with Corey Sandhagen. And I'm torn between... I know. They're right. You don't follow me. Don't follow. This is the greatest bantamweight I'm picking against. So don't follow me. I'm just going to ride this cold streak until it falls off. But it probably isn't going to fall off Saturday. But I do genuinely feel as though Corey Sandhagen, at least on paper, isn't going to get ground and pound TKO'd, isn't going to get knocked down on the feet. I'd like to think he doesn't get subbed like O'Malley. So he probably loses a decision where he gets grapple fucked. And the main fight that I point to that, where that could definitely happen, is the TJ Dillashaw fight. TJ Dillashaw, after round one, his eye was fucked up, his leg was fucked up. He basically had one eye and one leg after round one. And he was still able to just clinch control up against the fence, win a decision against Sandhagen, where the optics are clearly not in his favor. So just off that alone, you should pick Merab. But me being being Tony Trill, I'm not mad to be wrong on this one. I'm going to keep fading Merab. One day, hopefully, I'm right. Probably won't be, I'll be honest, because he has clearly shown me I'm wrong. But I do think Sandhagen on the feet has the kicking advantage. He's got the elbows. He's got the knees. He can play with the jab. So long as he doesn't back himself up against the fence, I really do feel like he's got a shot in this fight. The takedown defense is going to be interesting. I actually thought he looked good against Umar. I thought his takedown defense looked good against Umar. I thought he lost the Umar fight because of striking. We're going to see how it goes, but this is crazy I'm about to say this. I'm going with Corey Sandhagen by decision. When do you ever see Merab lose a decision? But logic definitely is in favor of Merab Dvalishvili 100%, and it's probably going to happen. But, I'm dumb. I don't learn from my mistakes. I'm going to go with Corey Sandhagen, a decision win. Hard to believe. I think he's going to eviscerate the face of Merab Dvalishvili. I think we're going to see a lot of elbows. I think we're going to see a lot of knees in the clinch. And I think we're finally going to see the judges value damage over clinch control. But, like I said, the number one fight that gives me the most fear of this pick is the TJ Dillashaw fight. TJ Dillashaw, after round one, had one eye, one leg, and was still able to back control up against the fence into a split decision win against Corey Sandhagen. I'm hoping he gets that one back, because I could so see a world where Corey does hurt Merab. He does inflict damage. We see cuts, we see blood, but Merab is far stronger. I would imagine that form of TJ Dillashaw coming back from the hiatus that he fought Sandhagen years ago. And I could see him just riding up against the fence, but this is for a championship. I think Corey Sandhagen knows this is it. I feel like if Corey Sandhagen loses this one, knock on wood, you ain't ever getting back. I don't think you ever getting back to a title shot. So I think he puts it all on the line, and I'm going to go with a Corey Sandhagen decision win where damage is valued over control.
Moving on for our main event of the evening. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev 2. There is a way for Alex Pereira to win this still. The first fight was very close. People talk about it like it was a blowout and Ankalaev just dominated him. It wasn't. It was a very close fight. It was 48-47, in my opinion, Ankalaev. Could have been 49-46 Ankalaev, and it could have been 48-47 Pereira. It was a close fight. I don't think it was a robbery. I think it was a right decision to pick Ankalaev. But I can't see the old man doing better than he did in that fight. Pereira's the older fighter. Ankalaev's the younger fighter. He's faster. He's more in his prime. He's more well-rounded. The takedown threat itself does wonders for him. It's not, he isn't Khabib. He's by no means like Khabib or Islam on top. But he at least has a threat to bring it there, which I feel like shuts down Pereira. Pereira fought on the back foot the whole time, and to be fair, he still made it very close in that fight. But Pereira, when he's going on the front foot and putting pace and, ripping the combos, and even when he throws calf kicks on the front foot. And, Ankalaev had him like Adesanya maxing, So I think you got to go out there and I don't want to say disregard the takedowns, but you kind of have to fight like that if you're Pereira. I don't think you want to give him that much respect. You got to still work your game. But I think Ankalaev does a good job of not only having that takedown threat, but also having some pretty fast hands as well, and having some good boxing. And I think that's where kind of he took over with Alex. Alex expected him to kind of just be a mediocre striker with some grappling. Expected all these takedown shots to come. They never really did. And sometimes they did, but they weren't impressive. But that opened up Ankalaev's hands. Pereira knows, I think, what to expect now, but I think it'll still overwhelm him in a similar way. I think if he does what I say and he does kind of disregard the takedowns, he probably will get taken down. but he'll probably be able to have more moments where he could potentially KO Ankalaev. Whereas I don't really see that right now. Like, I think he's, a head kick off the back foot? That's really his only option if he wants to play the game that he played in the first fight. I think he has to go for it. I think that's how he has to KO Ankalaev, and I think that's how he wins, KO. But I think Ankalaev is able to mix in the takedowns, striking, and just kind of have it his way. You know, the striking was a lot closer than people expected it to be, and that's because he shut him down. You know, that takedown threat is everything. And that's why everybody was, like, calling for it during Pereira's reigns. Like, why won't you just shoot a damn takedown? You know, he's open to be, not only to be taken down, but, like, that's all he's got is his kickboxing. So you can kind of shut him down. You can shut down his kickboxing, and he's just preemptively expecting a takedown. And I think that was huge for Ankalaev in the first fight, and it will be in this fight as well. I like Pereira. I'm hoping for Pereira to win. He's an exciting champion, whereas Ankalaev's boring as hell. You know, but we don't get to have nice things all the time. Pereira's like 38, 39, almost 40. I don't think, you know, he stuffed all of the takedowns the first fight. I don't know if he'll be able to do that again. Even if he has, you know, trained more and he's more familiar with, what's his name, Ankalaev than he normally would be, you know, because of the first fight. I still think he'll have a similar level of problems with that. And I think it'll be almost the same fight. I think Pereira will be more aggressive, but I think Ankalaev will also get takedowns. So I think there will be moments where Ankalaev's on top of Pereira beating the shit out of him, I'll be real with you. And that will win Ankalaev the fight. Whereas I think after moments like that, Pereira will go back to the first fight, and he will be preempted for the takedowns. And then it'll be kind of a recreation of that where, okay, he's stuffing the takedowns now, but Ankalaev's still controlling the fight and now boxing him. So I'm going to say 50-45 Ankalaev. I think it'll be a rough one for the Pereira bros. I think it's about that time for Pereira. You know, he did come into the sport as an old man. I think, you know, maybe he can stick around for another couple super fights, maybe go to heavyweight. I mean, hey, if he goes to heavyweight, you know, maybe Aspinall subs Gane in one round. We get Gane Pereira. Pereira beats Gane in a fun fight. Now we have Pereira Aspinall. Maybe he can have a couple more fights at heavyweight left up in him. But if he loses here, that is kind of the end of Pereira, which is sad. But yeah, that's how it is, you know, in the sport sometimes. And his replacement is someone as boring as Ankalaev, but that's the sport sometimes. Merab's champ, Ankalaev's champ, Lawal was champ. That's how it goes. Yeah, Ankalaev 50-45. Hopefully it's less boring.
It's a good fight. I picked Ankalaev in the last fight against Pereira. I think I had it the same way, and I got it correct. That was actually the best card I had this year. One of the best cards. I've had some pretty good cards this year, but it was for sure one of the best ones that I've had. But enough self-glazing. I'm going to break down the fight. I think Alex could win this fight. This is a winnable fight for Alex if he can fix up some momentums. Like, that first fight was very close. It was a very competitive fight. And everybody's going to say, oh, dominant, this and that, alhamdulillah, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know, bro. It wasn't really that dominant. But I've seen a record. No, I'm not picking Alex Pereira, by the way. I know it sounds like I was, but I'm not. I'm going with Ankalaev here, but I'm going to tell you what method I'm going to go with. Ankalaev has a very good record of finishing his opponents in rematches, especially when the rematches get competitive and shit. And he almost knocked out Alex Pereira in the first fight. I'm going to go with Magomed Ankalaev in the rematch by KO here, and I think it's going to be in the second round. I think Alex will have a good round, but he's going to be still having those fears of getting taken down still. and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I do not like Alex Pereira's chin. I mean, his chin and his defense. He's been getting hit way too much for my liking in his career, and I just don't trust it, man. I think he's gonna get KO'd here, and I think Magomed's gonna knock him out in the second. And I think he did almost knock him out in the second round, but I think this time he will get it. Yeah, I got Magomed by second round. It's gonna be an unfortunate day again. I hope Alex wins. I really do. I think it could be. I think it is a lot more closer than what people make it out to be. But I just don't trust Alex's age. He's getting older. He's he's still getting too much into this fame shit, bro. That's the main thing I don't like. He's doing skits with Nina Drama and shit. Going out to fucking red carpet events and shit like that, getting drunk. I don't like it, man. I don't like it. It's not the Pereira that I knew. It's not the Pereira that I like. And normally when I see him smile more, he doesn't look like the old Pereira. And that's the scary part about it, man. And I think this is going to be an unfortunate turn of events. I think he's going to get knocked out in this one. And he might retire, man. We might see the end of Alex Pereira, but I'm hoping that I'm wrong on this one for sure. I don't like Magomed, but I think he's going to get it. He's going to get it done by a second round KO.
Main event of the evening for the light heavyweight championship of the world. I think you'd have to say, well, actually, you can make an argument. Now that I think about it, you actually can't make an argument. I was about to say these are the two best light heavyweights in the world, but Olberg and Yuri Prohaska would like to have a word. We get to this fight, man, and I am an Alex Pereira fan, as Alex and Mike will tell you. I was very eager for his debut at UFC 268 against Andreas Michailidis, and I'd keep an eye on him even prior to that, going back to Glory Kickboxing. He lost his last fight against... why am I drawing a blank? The dude who just lost to Rico Verhoeven. Vakatov. Yeah, he lost... Okay, yeah, I thought I glitched for a second. He lost to Vakatov, and then he came to the UFC, did his thing. I think he actually had an LFA fight, or a regional scene fight before the UFC, and then he got to the UFC. But I've picked Alex Pereira in every UFC bout he's had, except his last fight at UFC 313. I picked Magomed Ankalaev. And my biggest mindset as to why I just figured that Magomed would get him down. I just figured compared to other opponents he's faced in the UFC, he'd be more hell-bent on getting the takedown, being a Russian Dagestani, as he is. But, credit to Alex Pereira. At UFC 313, he was able to stuff all 10 takedowns. And it was actually the striking and the pressure of Magomed Ankalaev that was able to get him the win in that fight. I do think Alex Pereira is elite. Great striker, world-class kickboxer. The power speaks for itself. Probably, in my opinion, honestly, the greatest leg kicker in UFC history. I do feel that. Everybody talks about the left hook. Joe Rogan's going to glaze a million times about that fucking calf kick. But, man, it's true. Alex Pereira's calf kick is legendary. It debilitates the leg. It takes away the footwork. It takes away the power. It takes away a lot of elements in your striking. But this is a rematch. Mike said it best. Magomed Ankalaev has a great record of rematches, as we all know from the Ian Cutelaba fight. And I think I just don't like what I'm seeing from Alex, man. When he came to the UFC, he had that aura. He had that, like, Terminator, like, man, I don't care about this fame shit. I'm here to kill Izzy. I'm here to get that belt type shit. I don't see that from him anymore, bro. I see a guy who's getting his expensive cars, getting his expensive house, living the good life. He don't got that fucking hunger. I think Magomed got that hunger. I'm not gonna lie. I really do feel that. I don't like the skits with Nina Drama. I'm not a fan of it. It's like it's fucked up, but I want Alex to not be human. I don't want him to smile. I don't want him to have fun. I want him to be what got him to the dance. That killer. I don't feel like I'm getting that killer for real. Magomed, good boxing, great high kick. He has a sneaky high kick. Look out for that high kick in this fight. No cap. I actually do feel that. The leg kick was a big narrative going into their first fight, as we saw in the Jan Blachowicz fight against Magomed, and he was able to shatter his legs early. But man, I mean, Ankalaev's shins must be made out of some shit, because Pereira would be landing calf kicks, and he had no reaction to it. I don't know how he did it, but he did. I am going with Magomed Ankalaev again in the rematch, and I don't mind Mike's prediction. I actually am also going to follow him. It pains me to say it, but it's the truth. I actually am going to go with a knockout as well. I'm just torn if it occurs on the feet or it's a ground and pound TKO. I don't think Alex Pereira is going to go 10-0 against takedowns this fight. I don't know if Magomed's going to shoot as many takedowns as he did, but I'm expecting at least 5 takedowns through 5 rounds. I'm expecting about a takedown per round. He shot 10, didn't get any, was able to win off the striking. I think he probably, the hand speed's a lot closer than people think. I know everybody loves that Pereira jab and left hook, but don't sleep on Magomed's boxing, man. He's got good boxing. The southpaw looks give some different angles that Pereira isn't used to. Israel Adesanya was able to do a lot of good work in southpaw in their rematch at UFC 287. I think Magomed has way more room to improve. I think he has virtually every advantage in this fight outside of power. I will give Alex Pereira the power advantage in the kicks and the hands. Outside of that, I mean, I feel like Magomed's equivalent, if not greater, in every other facet of MMA. He's got the better wrestling. I feel like he can clinch with Pereira, although Pereira does have very good clinch knees to the body. But still, I feel like he can work trips potentially from the clinch. I think the boxing is a lot closer than people think. The youth, the room to improve is all in favor of Magomed Ankalaev in this one for me. I'm going to go with They went 5 rounds last time. I don't see this going 5 rounds. I'm going to go with torn between 4th and 5th round TKO. I think Alex is going to try to be more on the front foot early on in the fight. Magomed will give Alex a little respect. He isn't just going to charge in like a retard. He's just going to, feel him out. A little bit of point. Probably, honestly, a little bit of a boring first round. I think it's going to be a lot of point fighting. They're going to just kind of get the range. Ankalaev's going to feint some takedowns, maybe not even shoot him. Arguably, Alex narrowly edges round 1. Round 2, Ankalaev shoots a takedown. Maybe he doesn't get it, but he's now implemented the thought, I've shot a takedown. Alex is like, all right, I got to be aware of that. Then I think he throws a high kick. Alex catches it, but it was close. He's like, oh shit, that almost landed. Then I think Ankalaev's going to start to move forward more than he did in round 1. And he would have narrowly edged round 2 in his favor. He didn't get the takedown, but he shot it. He was more forward pressure. He landed more bigger shots on the guard. So I think it's 1-1. Then it's round 3. I think he shoots a takedown. He gets it this time. He starts doing some work on top, landing some big shots. Alex is staying safe, not necessarily giving up a dominant position, but he's stuck. Like, he's stuck in half guard, and he can't get Ankalaev off him, and Ankalaev's starting to land some ground and pound. The ref isn't really captivated by what Ankalaev's doing. He just thinks he's landing total strikes. He isn't really doing too much work. He actually stands him up. Shockingly enough, he actually helps Pereira out, stands him up. They get back to it. Pereira lands a couple leg kicks, a jab here or there, threatens a left hook at the guard. We all say wow, and it's a close round. Then we get to round 4. Ankalaev goes forward. He's starting to play a little bit more in the boxing in the pocket. He gets the takedown easier. And then he advances to a better position. He goes from half guard into mount, and he starts raining shots down. I'm torn between 4th and 5th round, but I am going to go with a TKO late for Magomed Ankalaev. I'm also torn whether he gets it on the feet or he gets it on the ground, but I do believe this fight will end in a TKO for Magomed Ankalaev in the championship rounds. I don't like Alex's mentality. For those who don't know, a couple months ago, maybe even a year ago, Alex tweeted out this tweet basically about fringe retirement. And there was a lot of speculation that his account got hacked. He verbally confirmed a couple of weeks to months ago that that was him. He tweeted that. I don't like his mentality. He's older. His activity has digressed. He's gotten his money. I don't see the same hunger. I think Ankalaev's got the youth. He's got more room to improve, and he's got the better record too as well. I'm going to go with Magomed Ankalaev and still 4th or 5th round TKO in the championship rounds. I think he stamps the ending of this rivalry and still 2-0 against Alex Pereira. And in this sport, more than any other sport, one performance can change the narrative of your whole brand. We regard Ankalaev as a boring fringe decisionator to an extent. If he were to kill knock out Alex Pereira, I think in the minds of the casual, that turns him into the big bad champion that just knocked out the kickboxer. So I think he actually does wonders with his brand here, and after this fight, the world will know who Big Ankh really is. I'm going to go with a Ankalaev TKO in the championship rounds. And I do believe Alex Pereira will retire after this fight. Sad, but true. I don't think Alex's head is in the game anymore. I think he'd rather have scenes with Nina Drama and have her boyfriend film them. Sorry, not sorry. I don't like what I'm seeing.
Neither do I. I hope fucking... Like, I just hope fucking Alex wins, but I don't see it.
Yeah, Ankalaev's good. He's only lost one time, and I don't want to call it a fluke, but yeah, it was a fluke. Paul Craig got the sub, but man, like, that really shouldn't have happened, low-key. He was dominating that fight from start to finish. There was like 10 seconds left in the fight.
Round number 1, referee Herb. The winner by
Yeah, that will do it for the Wartime MMA podcast. We will see y'all next weekend. Peace.
We appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to go like and subscribe to the video. And these were our UFC 320 predictions. Peace.